first thing you notice.
These are the details of film scoring that require you to create a form that has no logic other than what you see.
Yeah, because the temporal thing simply doesn't mean anything as you're composing that. I mean, you'll watch it over and over again and you think, okay, well, when it actually happens in real time, it will feel like this, or the phrase will shape like this, or X, Y, or Z will happen. But as you're looking at it frame by frame, that seems like a totally remote thing.
Imagine a world without iPads. Imagine a world without smartphones. Imagine a world without instant communication.
In many ways, I think it's the audience themselves. What do you mean?
So it's a great question. I'll answer it towards the end.
So basically, you choose the challenges.
Yes.
And said, I can
yes.
do this.
Yeah.
Of the past.
Right now.
That's what it's built for.
So, just with music, sort of a different experience. Certainly it would be possible to say, well, I liked it better silent, but it's looking up at the mountains. We have a very similar setup at the end of this. The whole idea of the sort of sublimity of American landscape and being wedded to the idea of violence. That was the whole Tapscott lecture, was about sort of that sublime meeting violence. And that happens here.
Jackson's popular 1884 novel Ramona, a story about the indigenous peoples of 1870s California. The book had been adapted to film twice before, but this production would be the first with sound.
The interesting thing, though, is methane.
Ruger firearms are made in America, crafted by American men and women for you.
No way.
You cannot imagine how one-sided people are nowadays.
We didn't appreciate.
Now, what I was really doing was showing a mental process.
There's a huge community of these people, and it's an international discourse that's happening that's driven by people from the United States, but a lot of other people from the world are part of this discourse, and I've seen a huge interest from Germans. And even if the group's only 80 people strong, at least 5 people of them are German.
It is very difficult, and we don't have a tool that you just need to switch on and everything is fine.
Fascinating.
That goes from stage to stage.
What are you talking about?
It can change in a way that's beyond your control.
Well, one of the best ways to control people.
There's a trace of sedition in your talk.
Quasi-psychotic hatred, originating in the depths of the archetypal psyche and therefore carried by religious archetypal energies.
On your behalf.
Imagine what it would sound like in real time, right? I mean, I'm used to writing opera, and of course, events happen when I make them happen musically. And then, of course, this is the opposite, right?
In 1844, the first year of the commercial telegraph, Kierkegaard published a book called The Concept of Dread. He was quite aware that a new environment had formed around the old mechanical one, and whenever a new environment goes around an old one, there's always new terror.
The enemy is seen as the principle of the objective evil, the devil, and the terrorist perceives himself as the heroic agent of divine or objective justice, God.
$13,000, $14,000 roughly spoken, considered to be aggressive and violent. But the problem is, it's like with an iceberg. You see just a small tip on the surface and the rest is beneath.
Who is ready to rule the wasteland?
They're surrounded 24/7 by audiovisual signals.
You know about design amendments, and so specifications never stay the same, right? I mean, you're working for someone, and they never really tell you what they want. They might, but they change their mind, right? So
Transpersonal archetypal dynamisms deriving from the collective unconscious.
Spontaneously arose during times of psychic disorientation or reorientation. Mandalas and other symbols of order Jung believed to be compensatory symbols of wholeness which are manifested by the self in times of crisis.
In what seems to be a really disjointed path.
If you identify yourself with specific achievements, I think it becomes much more difficult than to just name what you are and live what you are.
Okay.
And I mean, that sounds very wise now, but it takes a lot of introspection to sort of get there, right?
Look, people.
all right? Any other questions? Yeah, question back there.
How do I understand that?
Where are we going? That's really important.
That's all you need to know.
Now, so there's always this, scale of fear versus excitement, right? I really want to do it. I think I can do it, but oh man, can I? I mean.
things are going to happen that we just can't foresee.
It's what made it so dangerous.
There are now some 800 members of the German military, including some in Hannibal's network, under investigation for far-right extremism.
Do you really think that subject is quite appropriate?
Yes, exactly.
First bar or the third bar. That doesn't really happen on the bridge to Stella by Starlight. Instead, we start on a C7.
Global capacity to take in refugees and vulnerable migrants more generally has to grow exponentially.
Interesting.
There are a lot of gray areas.
In fact, it really depends upon what invisible things you're trying to communicate.
Stepping stones.
Summed it up pretty well.
And the thing that grasped me and excited me about this vision of the world.
And how is everyone doing today?
And although you may say, well, that's only the sort of thing a very stupid person indeed would do, as a matter of fact, this is what our culture is beginning to carry on in very big dimensions.
But what do I know? If everybody's too cool to be subliminally propagandized...
Now, in the time that I have left, it turns out...
Hello, test subject. Welcome to your first test.
We also stay well connected to our loyal customer base through a wide variety of social media outlets.
What do they mean?
But that tells you that you have to have some care in doing your analysis.
Past isn't dead, it's not even past. It's more nuanced and complex, but that's basically it.
Now, artists in the Far East have made a great deal of what they call the controlled accident. Marvelous things which happen as surprises when an artist does not try to dominate, but let his medium itself do some of the work.
Well, that ain't good.
There's a sense of... Interestingly, the copyright notice is the first time that ever happens in a film. Griffith and the company he was working for paid Little and Brown Company, I believe it was $15 for adaptation rights. First time in history a publisher was ever paid for rights to a movie.
You can't find, in any other art, you can't create a situation that is too close to the dreams as a cinematography when it's at its best.
And the thing that grasped me and excited me about this vision of the world was the astonishing sympathy and feeling for the world of nature.
The shock of each moment of still being alive.
Today we're going to try to discuss the 5 guns that everybody should own. We've actually got 3 long guns and a handgun. Next down the line in order of importance, I think, is to have your 10-22 Ruger with your VX-25 magazines. Now, we've gone through this before. You can kill everything from a ground squirrel to a moose with this.
The American way.
Don't moralize.
Okay.
But I want to start off by saying, future me can worry about that.
Analysis of it comes later, perhaps.
For example,
Oh my God.
The important question is...
That makes sense? Okay, so...
But on the other hand...
crisis to become a nationwide economic disaster. Here's world-famous chef Anthony Bourdain to explain.
And what is the effect of all this?
Okay, I'm a chef on a Sunday afternoon setting the menu. It's not old fish. It's a whole new thing. The best part is...
They're all asleep at the wheel? Yeah.
Anytime there is insufficient reward, there will be dissonance.
By the time you get through applying your levies on property, us ranchers might as well give our steers away. We ain't gonna stand for being robbed.
Now, Sam, as your attorney, I must remind you that Mr. Ballard is the adjutant of the county, and to warn you, there's a trace of sedition in your talk.
Many people might see this as dangerous. Perhaps it is, but it develops new capacities. And
look, uninhibited creative freedom is something that I've been incredibly fortunate to have for the better part of my entire television career. Unlike anyone else I know of in television.
What's my role here?
I don't believe that man ever will deviate from the original pattern of his being.
We live in archaic times.
Life is good. Why settle for less?
You know, I have to ask these questions.
Oh my God!
So, guess what?